It's Silent Hill 2. This game was picked for me to play by chat in my live streams. They donated money to buy a gold star to select this game for me to play. The main character gets a letter from his dead wife, and she is in Silent Hill, which is where they had their honeymoon when they got married. He goes there to find her, and Silent Hill, of course, is freaking all screwed up and full of bizarre and insane characters, just like you would expect, and he has to unravel the mystery of what's going on. It plays like any other survival horror game. You explore around Silent Hill, you gather supplies, and you solve puzzles, and you shoot and beat to death a bunch of really freaky and weird enemies that you see that have some of the most bizarre and weird character design I've ever encountered in any game, the kind of stuff that haunts your nightmares. The gunplay and the melee combat is kind of slow and sluggish. It usually is in survival horror games, but it felt even more so here. It feels like the enemies will often just smack you before you even have a chance to get in a hit, and I found myself going through this game like randomly walking down halls swinging the club back and forth just in case an enemy walked around there. I would thwack them before they got me. Luckily, there are a lot of healing items to kind of counterbalance this, which is nice, so you're not going to end up in too many situations where you're dying and there's no resources to help you out. The game looks and sounds incredible. They were able to pull things off that I don't see in like AAA games now, like reflections and mirrors and using stereo sound to locate enemies in the dark. The sound design's fantastic in this game. It's really creepy, just like you would expect. Maybe the creepiest I've ever heard in any game. I can't think of any that rival it, to tell you the truth. And just the set design and the character design and the general atmosphere of this game is unbelievable. There's a reason that this game's considered a classic and is beloved by like so many freaking people. And there's a reason they're remaking it, because everybody wants to relive that experience, including me. I'm gonna play it when the new one comes out. I will say that this game's story is a vast improvement over the first game. Instead of it being like a supernatural cult, it's a psychological horror that's full of hallucinations and strange events and unorthodox level design. It all feels very like metaphorical and really honestly allegorical. You can't trust what you see or you experience, and the whole game is like one long fever dream, to tell you the truth. And it's stressful and it's bizarre, but it's Silent Hill and that's what it's supposed to be, right? It has Pyramid Head, it has a lot of weird like sexual undertones. And as I streamed this, I was telling chat what I thought was happening and what I thought was going on with the story, and it was wrong. I was not right at all. The twist ending of this game caught me off guard, I have to say, and I think my idea would have been better, but I was still really thrilled with what actually happened. Now, I did say that this game is beloved, but it is not a perfect game. It has a few flaws. I'm going to touch on a few of them right here. I complained in the first game that you didn't really get a good opportunity to explore the town because of the infinitely respawning enemies that were outside, and that's still the case here. You can't really get out and soak in Silent Hill because there's always crap like chasing you around and assaulting you and accosting you from all angles, and there's limited ammo and resources, so you can't really soak it in like you do in Resident Evil, where when you clear out an area of the mansion or the town or whatever, you can explore in your leisure to find like the hidden items and things like that. You can do that inside the buildings in Silent Hill, more or less, but you can't really do it in the city center, which is a little disappointing for me. I also complained in the first game that the latter areas were like too large and maze-like, and you spent too much time just freaking wandering around trying every key on every door until you randomly just happened to open one up. And that's kind of the case here as well. Every area in Silent Hill is like that. You go from a big and confusing apartment building to a big and confusing hospital to an underground maze, and the environments all feel very samey and just aren't engaging. I did not like the areas in this one as much as I did in the first Silent Hill. Not at all. There's also this thing where like bosses can't really be damaged, and you don't know that. You're just waiting around for like an invisible timer to end, and I didn't really like that either. It did make for some interesting points in the stream, but I found myself getting a little frustrated when that kept happening over and over and over again, and my default way to handle any boss in this game was just to like run around till the boss fight ended. And honestly, I feel like Silent Hill is almost like a toss-up with the first Silent Hill. It has a better story and better characters, but like worse environments, and it has multiple endings just like the first game. I got the water ending on normal difficulty, and there are apparently like 4 or 5 more endings that I went and watched on YouTube and enjoyed, but I didn't want to go back and play them again because I didn't want to spoil the game for myself. I feel like when you really like a game as much as I liked this one, going through it multiple times can kind of turn it into a chore, and I didn't want that to happen. I will say this, I beat this game and I only killed 7 enemies in the whole game with guns. Every other enemy I beat to death with a stick. I wasn't trying to do a special challenge or anything like that. It's just how I felt like doing it. I was trying to conserve my ammo, and the game never got hard enough to make me need to whip out the shotgun, except in just a few places on boss fights and things like that. So there's really not that much of a challenge here on Silent Hill 2. It's more of an experience than it is a really hard video game. But some of the exploring and the puzzles are where most of the challenge is rather than the combat. So of course Silent Hill 2 was a fantastic game. I loved it. Like I said, it's a toss-up kind of with the first one. And based on that, I'm gonna have to give Silent Hill 2 a 9 out of 10. It's absolutely amazing, probably in the running for one of the best games I'll play all year.